Hello, welcome to another episode of Accessible Authenticity, a podcast where we dive deep into embracing our uniqueness, living a meaningful life, and into purpose and empowering you wherever you are on your journey. And most importantly, take what resonates, leave the rest, and importantly as well, let's have fun doing it. Today, I'm joined by Christina Pehr. She's the host of New Ways podcast and the founder of Best Self Mindset. With that, I'll welcome Christina here. Hey, Christina.
Hey, how are you? Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. Doing well. Life has been going up and down like a roller coaster. But the one thing that seems steady is me. So I'm grateful for it. Uh, Thank you for joining me as well. I see that you have a beautiful background today.
I do.
Not a background,
Very
is it?
blessed and very grateful. I'm in Costa Rica.
Wow, wow, wonderful, wonderful. Hey, that seems like one of the go-to like spaces to be in.
I mean, maybe for me, it definitely is. So it's a little place of my heart here. I've been a few times.
Wow, beautiful. Well, hey, as we were just talking like earlier, it could be a sign that I might be in Costa Rica soon too.
Definitely should go. If your heart is calling, go ahead, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, like so often we hear the call, but we don't take it, right? And I want to be more and more aligned with that.
Yeah. Well, why do you think we don't take the call a lot of times? Let me ask you that.
Why don't we take the call?
Yeah, why don't we fall? Why don't we go? If something's calling us, why or do so many of us say, never mind, maybe later?
Yeah. I want to say it's fear, isn't it? Fear of what it could be, if when everything's working out well, so to speak, in our life, and then we hear the thing, oh, I wanna be a singer, I wanna play the piano, I wanna do stand-up comedy, I want to build a business, I want find my dream partner, what have you, right? Like it's this stepping into the unknown that, it's going to be scary. I feel like that's typically why. And then we also don't trust ourselves. That's also a huge thing that I see. Well, hey, way to ask me questions to
Well, I'm
begin
like, I
with.
could keep going, but I'll let you do your
I can totally tell that you're a podcast host as well. So Christina, what does authenticity mean to you?
Authenticity means being unapologetically yourself, but in order to also do that, it means knowing you, knowing what is true to your heart, your soul, and the life that you're here to create, and what is not just your conditioning or your programming or what has been taught to you by society or your community and surroundings.
It sounds like you've taken some time to define authenticity.
I mean, it's definitely one of my niches when it comes to my life coaching. I'm actually kind of shifting my gears, and that's what a lot of my coaching is about now, is finding a higher sense of self, because a lot of things done in life come easier to you when you do know yourself.
Yeah, like know thyself, right? It's one of the most prominent sayings that we have. There's also a podcast named after it.
I was going to say that that podcast is a great podcast. I
It
listen
is a great
very
podcast.
regularly. It's a great
It's been
podcast.
a while since I watched it too. Yeah, I mean, and it's true, right? So many times we don't really, yeah, like we keep moving through life, not knowing who we are, and in this constant search. How did that begin for you?
Well, there's two reasons why I do that type of coaching now, and I'm sort of specializing more towards it. Is because, for one, it's been so prevalent in my own life, as well as so many people come to me and they're like, I want to shift into this new career. I want to accomplish this. And one thing in coaching we always ask is, what is your why behind the why? And then you keep going, pretty much like it's the simplest conversation, but it goes so deep. You keep asking, why are you doing this? Why do you want that? What is this going to give you? And after you keep getting to the nitty gritty of a lot of things, people realize their why doesn't have anything to do with the new career path. It has them something to do with what they want in life that's already easy and accessible for them to do if they just decide to do it. And it's like, why didn't you do that in the first place, though? Oh, because society tells me if I make more money, if I have this status, then I'll have the freedom to be with my family. When in reality, you can just choose to be with your family from the get go. So just harnessing like getting to know yourself, you can get all the other BS that society's taught you aside, and you're done chasing the wrong things. Because it's like, my job as a coach is to get you what you want. But the problem is so many people say, I want this thing, but it's not actually what they want. It's what somebody else told them they want.
Where does that who typically tells that thing of like what they want?
That's the thing. It can come from a lot of different things, and I don't want to blame just one person or one area. It's just in life, we are often taught to observe and to listen and learn, but we're not taught to listen to ourselves. So, and it's your nervous system also doing its job. Ancient times will tell you that if you didn't fit in, then you would be excluded from the tribe and you would be out there to freeze in the cold and die of starvation if you didn't fit in and people didn't like you. But the problem is we're not living in ancient times where people need to like us and we're going to be exiled. And it's the same that has progressed throughout the years when it comes to societal norms. And not to be this person also, but it's a form of manipulation and control, the propaganda. We're told what we need and what we should want in order to feed like the economy and buy products that we don't actually need or really want. We're just told we want them. As humans, we're social creatures. We want to connect, we want to relate to everybody. But it's just gotten to a far point where we want to relate to everybody else instead of ourselves. So there's a bunch of things that go into it, and not one person is to blame. It could be social media, it could be your community, it could be your parents, it could be your school. There's a bunch of different things that go into it.
Yeah, wow. There's so many different threads that I can pull on from that. Absolutely. Like, like the first place is when you mention it's like, hey, if you want like you want to spend time with family or you want a family, but it's like, hey, first I gotta get the money, I gotta get the status. There's that famous parable too, right? It's like, hey, there's this like businessman meets a fisherman this one day,
I've heard that.
and
It's a great, it's like an analogy in a way. It's great. I love that
exactly, right.
saying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like for anyone listening too, it's like, hey, the businessman ends up asking the fisherman, it's like, hey, like here you are catching one fish at a time. And why don't you, buy a bigger boat so you can get more fish and then you can sell more. And then the fisherman's like, okay, then what am I gonna do? And then the businessman goes like, hey, yeah, then after that you can get, like a bigger fleet, you can get like multiple boats, and then you'll have even like big fish, and then you'll make even more money. And then the fisherman goes, okay, and then what? And then it's like, then you can retire and you can take it easy.
And spend time with your family, which is what he was doing to begin with anyways.
It's
Yeah,
like it's such a beautiful reminder that the things that we're after is already like within us. And yeah, like I know in my journey too, for the longest time, right? I was just on this hedonic treadmill. And it wasn't until sometime around, I want to say it's like sometime around 2020, because I had a physio like logical need. I was an immigrant, right? So I was in the US for a while, and then that didn't work out, and I went back to India. And then when I was in India, I was like, oh fuck no, I can't live here. So I was like, I gotta find my way back. And then next thing I know, I'm able to come to Canada. And when I do come, I'm like, okay, let me try doing things differently. And it was right around the pandemic. That's when I was like, okay, wait a minute. I've tried, I was climbing the corporate ladder. I felt more and more miserable, right? And the only two things I didn't do, Christina, was I didn't get married and have kids, and I didn't buy a house. So I was like, hey, what are the odds that I do these two more things, the societal checklist, and everything's going to be okay? Right? And I was like, okay, maybe let's put a pause on that. Let's put a pause on that. And that's really where I began like thinking about this. And I was like, wow, okay, so, I've been chasing these things outside of me. Like you mentioned, like, like buying things like for my sense of self-worth, for example, right? Like just buying apartments or like cars, things, watches. I mean, I love watches, but I was like, I was buying these things and it never really filled that hole within me. So it's really amazing to see that. And I love how you correlated that to the fear of like, hey, back in the day, and like in the tribal days, we had like we needed safety, right? And if the tribe excluded us, like that meant we could be killed, right? So, but we don't live in that world now.
yeah. And there's a reason. That's the thing is like, there's a reason why we have these instincts or whatnot. It's just, once again, I don't want to blame anybody, but media and businesses have learned how to use that to their advantage to get people thinking they need something. This a different sense of community than we're actually like programmed to want, if that makes sense.
What do you think is the incentive for doing that?
I don't want to sound like a skeptic over here by all means, but like the whole reason
It's
why there's
okay.
these set yeah, but the whole
I feel
reason
like we are in a. It's totally okay. Like let's pull the red tape out, right? Because
no, completely. Well, when you actually look at these things, so like let's talk about I don't know how schooling is for in Canada. I know in the UK and like Europe it's a little bit different, but when you look at the school structure for kids these days, which your most influential years are from the ages I want to say of like 5 to 11 and also when you're growing, like when your brain's developing, actually never stops developing, fun fact, but it's most influential in your younger days. So when we look at the school program, it was actually created to help workers. Like that's the whole point of like it hasn't been updated since early 1900s. And the reason why they wanted that though is because they needed more workers in the steel company and the railroads to build things and that's they school was there to train the people to do this to serve. And back then I guess it worked for them now, but it's just like we don't need to serve people anymore. And not to be this, I'm also a nurse and I've studied things in the health industry and food companies will even do certain tests to make things addicting to people. They'll add the perfect salt to fat ratio. And that's the thing is like you can call it smart advertising and smart business getting people addicted to these things and good for the business if it thrives on that. But like I'm in the business of people and human connection and we don't thrive off of that. In a way, this it all is kind of propaganda. And like things might have worked back in the day for certain needs. You know, having a family, being like monogamy might have been great back then for certain reasons, but it's like we don't live in those times anymore. We're not struggling to survive. So once you're done struggling to survive, then what? We actually have the joy and the pleasure and the opportunity now to live something that's true to us instead of just fighting for our lives all the time.
survival mode, isn't it? Yeah. When did your quest like began? You know, like you absolutely like you mentioned too, with the yeah, actually yeah. When like when did your quest begin?
When I finally, and this is the case for so many people, is when you finally sit there one day and you're like, what the fuck is going on? Like, and it all started with a little voice in my head for some reason. I did create, you know, those two things that you said you were debating on doing. I was literally like right there knocking at the door. I never opened it though. I had this great career at a stable job that everyone told me was going to make me happy. I was in a relationship about to get married. We had a house together. And like it wasn't great, but I wasn't happy in the relationship. I didn't love the work I was doing, but I stayed in it because I'm like, this is how you do, right? Eventually happiness will come if I do this. One day I was just sitting there pissed off at my boyfriend at the time, pissed off at my life, and I heard a voice in my head that said, there's more. And even though I didn't think there was more, I didn't. I was programmed to believe like this is what you're supposed to be doing. Something was like, you know what? Let's fuck around and find out because I'm not happy right now anyway. So what do I have to lose? It's like the second you start listening to yourself, regardless if it makes sense or not, everything does kind of fall into place. So it just literally
Wow.
started with me actually hating my life and deciding, like, let me see what else is out there. Because it's okay to see what else is out there. But a lot of times we are programmed to think that there's nothing better out there. It's only for the select few who have everything that you think you want and have the joy, have the happiness, have this different type of lifestyle. The reason they have it is because they chose to. There is no difference between you and that other person. The only difference is right now you're stuck in this loop thinking that there is nothing else out there.
See, yeah, like that's amazing. I mean, actually, firstly, like I don't know, sorry that it didn't work out because you, it's
It worked out fabulously for me right now. I have to pinch myself every single day.
amazing. Okay.
And that's the thing is I didn't have a plan at all of how I was even going to get here. Like I'm 30 years old right now running my own type of business in Costa Rica for 2 weeks plus maybe more. And do I know how I got here? Was this my dream in my head? No. It wasn't. I just knew I wanted something different. I didn't know what it was. But I just started saying, "Oh, this looks cool. I think I want to do this. Let me do it." Instead of hesitating, I just did the thing. And now I'm here and I'm happy I here. Do I know exactly how I got here? No. The only thing I do know is I listened to myself and it all worked out.
In that case, sorry, not sorry.
No, I'm
Demi
not sorry
Lovato,
at all.
you know? And so, okay, so here's the picture, right? You're in a relationship, you got the job, you have the status, you're an attractive woman too. Yeah, you're welcome. And everything's like picture perfect, like the dream that we had like as kids. Like, oh, there you are. Just maybe in a few more years or a few more months, you're gonna get married. while you're feeling that like, oh, maybe this isn't it. It's okay. It's okay. It's survivable, right? Like I've built a good enough life. You have that voice in your head that says, okay, there's more. How do you end up taking that first action, which ends up blowing up your life that you created?
Completely blew it up. Everyone's like, "What the hell are you doing?"
Yo, I feel like, not I feel like, at this point, I know this. I've had enough conversations with people and even including my life. It's almost like, in order for someone to be in my life now, it's like, did you blow up your life?
Yeah, I mean, like, and they're not even that low. Anybody who questions, like, why are you sure that's the right decision? You don't need to know why I do what I do. I just need to know why I do what I do. Like, that's the thing is, like, I realized though, in regards to that, like, statement is people who do take risks and people who love themselves, they don't judge you for doing things not the traditional way because they get it. And even if they didn't blow up their life, and even if they are living the traditional thing, if they're happy, they don't feel the need to question and be like, why? Questioning being why and judging people is for the unhappy people. I'm sorry, because that means that, like, I can't be happy, you shouldn't be happy, or I don't think I can do this, so I'm gonna judge you for it. Like, that's usually where it comes from, is a sense.
Yeah, yeah. And then, yeah, I mean, and that's like much more like deep rooted too.
Oh, it is, and that's the thing is, like, kind of goes back to, like, the thing you said, this dream of when you were younger. I don't know about you, but when I was younger, I didn't necessarily dream when I was, like, a baby and, like, actually had big dreams, like astronaut, this and that. I didn't dream of just like getting a regular job and settling down and having kids. It's a nice idea and I want that, but did I dream of that being my entire life? No. Eventually I've just accepted that that's what life was supposed to be because that's what everybody else does. I was told that my dreams of, like, being on stages, because at a young age, like, I wanted to do pageants. I wanted to be on stages and talk about important subjects. I was just told at a young age that my dream was unrealistic. So, like, that's the thing is, like, we're trained to think that our dreams are too big and they're not for us.
Were you able to get onto stage on like pageants, or was that
So that's the
something?
thing though too, is, like, when I was younger, my mom entertained the idea, and she did bring me to, like, Miss Teen, Miss America, something like that, and I actually got accepted into the final rounds. And I love my mother dearly, but is she a product of her environment and didn't have the courage or honestly the tools to see other things that were out there? No. So I got accepted and it is a decent amount of money. You do have to pay to play the game of life, unfortunately. And she was like, I don't think we should do this because you're not going to win it anyways. And realistically, I mean, I am up against hundreds and thousands of people, but I don't know. Like, I'm that person where it's like, if there's a 1 in a million chance, why can't I be that 1 in a million? Save that other, like, 99, 100,000, whatever, for the people who don't. I don't believe in the whole, like, you can't be you. Somebody else has done it, so why can't I do it? But that was pretty much it, is, like, I begged my mom to take me. She took at me just to get thinking that it'll go away. It didn't. She kinda forced it away from me by saying it was unrealistic and we're not gonna do it.
Wow. Yeah. See, that's powerful. And do you know what story you told yourself as a result of that?
As a result of that, I told myself I wasn't good enough. I started believing the story that people told me, because that's what all of us do. We believe the stories that people tell us, right? If the masses are saying it, they must be right. And then one day I just decided I was like, I've always been a very out there person, independent thinker. I literally just decided to say, screw this. And I'll tell people to this day, Delulu is the Salulu a little bit. Like, I'm sorry, I realized that me living in my own world and creating my own reality has brought me so much happiness. I don't wanna live in your world where you think everything is dull and bleak. It's just pretty much just like creating your own world. We are the creators of everything. Like, everything in this world has been built at some point. Nothing was just here besides nature. And you're telling me I can't build things? I just think it's you deciding to think outside the box instead of listening to other people. You believing in yourself.
That's a really important piece there, like an affirmation or like believing in yourself. And like the one thing that I can see here is wow. And thank you so much for sharing that moment, right? So like the one thing I can see is you had this moment where you entered into, was it like Miss Teen? Miss Teen US?
I'm sorry?
Was it Miss Teen US?
Yeah, Miss Teen US.
Miss Teen US, right? And then you were in like the final round kind of thing, and then it didn't work out because you had this basically like this belief that was put in you that hey, don't go for it because you winning is not realistic. And then that just like carried forward to fast forward to that point where you were in the house, you had the boyfriend, maybe about to get married too, had the job, everyone congratulated you on it. That thread, like that one belief was the reason for that life. And then at one point you were just like, and
Yeah.
then
And then it all just takes like and then one day that voice in my head was telling me you are not happy. And it was 110% right. I That's the thing is like unfortunately out of desperation comes a lot of beautiful things, but I was just like this can't be it, right? A lot of people think that their reality right now is how it's gonna be the rest of their life, and it is if you choose it, but are you telling me that in our 20s and our early 30s, that's supposed to be the rest of our life? To me, that seems unrealistic. I don't know, I just think it took, like, one I kinda, like, just looked around me and I thought about, like, everybody else in life too, and I'm like, "This can't be it."
I'm grateful you thought that because that's what got you to where you are today, right? Like a lot of people just, I do believe there's this point that we go through in life where it's like, hey, we have the conversation with ourselves, like, is this it or is it not? And unfortunately, a lot of time people take that like, okay, I guess this is it, you know? It could be worse, right? So I'll
But
settle
it
in
could be
here.
better. And that's the thing is it's just, like, a lot of people that's why I love coaching is because like, a lot of the things that I tell you, you already know. The whole reason people need a coach is to just give them validation and the okay that it is all right to do these things and it's okay to listen to yourself because we're told so often to listen to everybody else. It's like we all in our heart and our soul know what we want to do. And then I do once in a while get those people who don't even know what they want to do because they've been following somebody else's path. And I'm like, this is where we get to have fun. Just try things. And then we start breaking down, like, it's funny because when you actually break things down, you think you wanted them, and then you can hear in your voice, like, in your head, a voice that told you you wanted it one day. Can't tell you how many people I'm like, "Okay, where'd this belief come from?" And they, like, sit for a second and actually think about it, and it's like they could hear their grandparents' voice in their head. The problem is, like, especially nowadays, we just don't even sit and think. We don't give ourselves the space to listen to ourselves. And that's like, that moment I was just so sad, I sat there and sat with myself and I listened. People just don't listen. We're always trying to, like, get rid of the noise, get rid of our everything with, like, social media, TV, distractions, going out. Like, once you sit with yourself, you know everything. Sometimes you just need a coach to give you the space to sit down with yourself and say, "Hey, what's me?"
I was gonna ask you like what was the one strategy, what was the one hack, right, that got you to start taking decisions towards your best self? And but I feel like you just read my mind because it sounds like that's exactly it, like just listening to yourself.
So, I feel blessed where, like I know this kinda sounds like woo-woo, and I am a woo-woo person. I try to aid to people who
Yo,
aren't, but
bring on the woo woo. That's
I
fine.
love the woo-woo, but,
Yeah.
this I was so when I first did it, I was scared shitless, don't get me wrong. If anybody thinks that I just left easily, they're sadly mistaken. I was so scared, so freaking scared. I'm like, "I'm about to go move back in with my mother, who I do not like, to do it or I'm gonna go insane. Either way, I'm going insane. Either way, I'm scared." And it's funny though, because and I've heard this so many times, the second I just decided to choose me, things out of the air just fell into place. Yes, there are often times like you need somebody to get your butt. My best friend was very encouraging. She's the only person who's like, "No, you should leave." Definitely. And so it does take at least having one person having your back, but the second you start doing it too, the second it gets easier. It was divine timing where I was like, I don't know what there is. And I decided to give myself more space. I'm like, look, I'm just going to go take a vacation. I'm going to go see my sister. 4 days after I left my ex in our house and said, I don't know what there is, but I know there's more. I get a phone call from my best friend who encouraged me. She found out that her husband was cheating on her and she's like, I'm kicking him out. Can you move in with me? I didn't know where the hell I was gonna live after leaving this toxic relationship in our home. Like, after that, I've just realized, though, it's weird, call it energetic law, but the second you actually make decisions for yourself, things that are good for you start coming in, the right people start to come in when you start radiating at the radiation you're supposed to be at, when you start talking about the things you're supposed to talk about. Everything just fell into place the second where I'm like, "I think this is what I should be doing." It's scary, and it's not freaking easy, and sometimes you need somebody to finally be like, "Go," but once you go, like, it just happens so fast, and you don't even need any more motivation besides what's being presented to you.
Yeah, wow. And it sounds like you just kind of like went like you didn't take baby steps towards it too. Just kind of like you're like, okay,
Yeah, and if I'm being honest with you, it was one thing that did set me to leave. It was like me and my ex were in the same argument we always had. His mother texted me drunk at 3 a.m., calling me like a bitch. And that text message just set me over the edge. Sometimes motivation is bad motivation. And I was like, I ain't dealing with this woman the rest of my life. And finally, I was just like, I'm gone. Like that voice in my head was like, nope, you don't want this. There's more. And I just left. And I did have one friend that was encouraging me, but I don't know. I feel like some people, that's where coaching comes in. That's great too. Is some people are in this comfortable, numb state, like you said, where they're like, this must be it. And sometimes you need that person who's uncomfortable in your face, like me, like, there's more. Do one thing right now and see what happens. And after you do that one thing, it gets easy.
like action is so important, and I never realized the power of action. First setting the intention, obviously, and then and the action behind it. Like for me, like my big I had my like the first one was really in like in 2020 when I was genuinely alone, right? So, like I mentioned how I came from India to like to Canada to Vancouver. Actually, it was to Victoria, it's like this mini island. And I was in the office for about 2 weeks. And the next thing I know is we're like, hey, you're gonna work from home for the next 2 weeks, and then we'll come back. Who knew? 2 weeks would become like 2 years, right? We'd have this like global pandemic, once in 100-year experience. And there I was in a new country, new job, like new everything. And it's almost like my higher self brought in that experience at the right time because I've always wanted some time by myself, and I quite couldn't find it in like once I got started, like after leaving home at 18. I never found that time, and then I finally did, and that's where I was talking like, hey, I was climbing the social ladder, like the corporate ladder, and I just felt more empty, more and more empty, and my relationships were absolutely terrible too at that time. I wasn't really doing well, so I was like, hey, you know, one thing that's told to men is, hey, the more money I make, I'll attract more women too, and sure, that's like true in a way, but I'm attracting like the wrong thing. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like because I'm using money as a thing to uplift me, that is what people see. Not saying that money is not important. Absolutely it is.
Money makes you more of who you are.
Mm,
So if you are unhappy without money, money is just going to make you more unhappy. But if
that's
you
true.
want money for the right reasons, if you're happy and you want to uplift the people around you, money is going to make you and everybody around you more happier.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was absolutely not my case, right? Deep down I wasn't happy because when I looked myself in the mirror, I didn't like what I saw. Right. And I found ways to hide that, right? And then so there I was in this apartment that became everything, right? It was like the place where I ate, like entertainment, my happy time, like work too, all of it, right? It was the gym as well, like all of it. I remember I had this one thought, like similar to the voice in your head. I was like, hey, you can die and it will take people like a few weeks to find out that you're dead.
Had that thought too, I'm not gonna lie. That's so funny you say that,
Yeah.
but continue.
And at first I was like, whoa, it was super scary. I was like, whoa, no. And then as I just sat with it because I couldn't do anything else, I had to sit with it. I was like, whoa, okay. I felt liberated. I was like, okay, okay. If I were to die, like no one find me, okay. So why am I doing any of this? And then it's like the layers of the onion slowly started to peel. And I was like, hey, okay, so I'm going to take a pause, right? So I took a pause from whatever I was doing. I was like, okay, I have the job. I'm super grateful for it. And I just want to take a moment for you to like that you had that one friend because that one can be like 1,000 friends, and I say that as someone as like at that point in time, I didn't have someone. I did have access to two new friends, but again, I was like, hey, if I do this, then I'm moving away from me and the work that I need to do. Yeah, and then so that's what I did, and that journey is what got my healing journey started. I wasn't planning on it. I didn't even like. I was like it was just that the biggest thing in my life at that point, I was addicted to cannabis, and I knew I had to curb that. There was like something I had to do to curb that. And then next thing I know is I'm on this healing journey, kind of figuring out who I was, why I was. And it all stemmed from that question is like, am I happy with the life that I have? Like, what role do I play in family relationships, right? And then why do I play them, right? And that just like cracked open this like healing journey that now fast forward like 5 years at this point. Wow, that like really took me back for a second. Fast forward 5 years now, and it's like there was all this like stories, like for you it was, like your mom telling you that, hey, don't go for that thing because it's like unrealistic. For me it was about the money that, hey, you will never be worthy if you don't have money. And that came from something that came from my dad. Like same thing here. I love my parents, but
Yeah. They were doing
like
the best that they can, but it's just
exactly.
like now that you're an adult though, and this is what a lot of people it blocks them too from being themselves is because we are also trained though that our family is us, right? That we're so deeply connected and that we have to listen to everything they say and it's law. But when you realize your parents were just people and, like, you're also just a person and you do have the freedom and the power to make your own choices, like, that's when it gets really, like, fun and really real. But you're right, though, our parents are just people, and unfortunately, like, we are so tightly linked with them that it dictates our life sometimes. Yeah.
So in terms of the healing journey, could you talk about like your like journey with it?
Well, now
How's that
I'm
been for you?
curious about your healing journey, I'm not gonna lie. I'm so sorry, I'm just having my own podcast too, I'm so used to being like, "This isn't about me, this is about you," but I guess this is about me right now.
There you go.
So that's something too where I started just making steps to like I started my healing journey just on my own. I was like, I'm not feeling good. And where a lot of people would once again go drink and smoke, and I've done that. I'm guilty of it. It's fun. But for when that still doesn't help you and it's been a few months, I really dove deep into like my love for reading as a child. I loved reading. I started reading more self-help books and I've always loved psychology, so I started reading more psych books. And I just started speaking openly, to be honest with you. I started speaking about what I am learning about myself and I started trying new things. And my healing journey wasn't like I read one, there's definitely a bajillion books and a bajillion retreats that helped me. And I feel like my healing journey was literally just me gaining confidence in myself. And, like, that's why I am so big on being authentic to who you are is because when you know who you are and you're proud to be it, though, like, you don't have to go looking for the healing, it comes to you, if that makes any sense. Like, I can tell you a bunch of different things that have, like, made me feel so great and so good, but, like, what's healed me the most is finding my community that's actually for me and not what everybody else said I wanted. What's healed me the most was finding this career path that's helped me. Everything else just helps me heal other people. What helps me heal is the life that I created from being me.
Community is huge. Have you always like, is that something that you've always been accustomed to
No, I
as you
hated my
began?
community. I'm
Okay.
from Chicago, I fucking hated it. Actually, I had one good friend and that was it. I was hanging out with people just to hang out with people, and we were drunk all the time. I hated it. It was just that. It was just one day I was like, "I think I need to go somewhere else." And I read a book, honestly, like, I guess see, anybody can be a mentor. If you look up to somebody, there's probably a reason. Learn about their life because for some reason also too, I was now living with my friend, we were at Costco. I picked up a Matthew McConaughey book called Green Lights. And he even says in the beginning, this is not a mental health book, but it's pretty much the entire book green lights is about him just like looking for these green lights and pivoting and how it brought him to where he was. So I guess I just picked up that book at the right moment. And that's what kind of was like Matthew McConaughey went to Australia when he was a teenager and then he decided to go into acting and he knew nothing about it. I can do this thing I know nothing about. I'm just going to quit my job and start traveling. Like, it's just being curious, being yourself, and listening to, like, I can do this and having confidence. That's the healing thing. Because now, especially though, I feel like spiritual bypassing and hiding in your healing is such a thing. Where it's like, it's great you want to heal, but hiding in it isn't going to get you anywhere either. You constantly think something is wrong with you when the whole point of healing is to make you realize nothing is wrong with you. So, yeah.
Wow. Now we're getting juicy. You said the word spiritual bypassing.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was absolutely in that too, Christina. Like towards my fourth year in, absolute spiritual bypassing, right? Like it's like, oh. I don't have to heal, right? I can just go to this
I'm
next
just going
level.
to pretend that because there's also that thing where like it's just like happiness is a choice. So I'm just gonna pretend that I'm happy. And I'm just gonna pretend that like everything is going to come to me instead of acknowledging, yo, it's okay to have these feelings of like joy and happiness and sadness and despair. Like they're all serving you to move you forward in the right direction. We have anger and resentment for a reason. It's to show us where we don't belong. But if you just mask that through your spirituality, or like I'm supposed to be this great person all the time, like all of us are great for being ungreat. Some of the greatest people I know will tell you how it is to your face, even though it's not the nice thing to do. But yeah, like people live in their healing then, and it's great you want us to heal. That is the next step. If anything, too, it does make people, I feel like, at least better for the world. We're not hating each other. I like that aspect, but like hiding behind another realm, it's like hiding behind a religion. You know, have those people who are like, I'm super religious, but like they're actually a piece of shit person. Spiritual bypassing is the same thing. Stop pretending you're happy when you are dying on the inside. When you can have the confidence to tell people, I am dying on the inside, it's funny because things get a little bit lighter and usually they have a way to help you.
Yeah. We there's that thread that I want to continue on with the spiritual bypassing,
Yeah.
but let's I want to come back to the like for the healing piece, because it's a really good pivotal point before we get there. Women seem to be way more open to healing. Men, not so much.
Let me ask you this. Why do you think that is?
Took the question right out of my mouth.
I have a feeling you know it.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Okay,
Actually, I
so what
don't.
is it?
I do. Okay, so it starts off with when we're kids, we're told boys don't cry, right? Like it's like, hey, you are a tough boy. You don't cry. You don't show your emotions. That's for the girls. And then that just puts this wiring in that, okay, I'm meant to be strong. I'm meant to be headstrong. And that just continues. And then the moment so now that that's the baseline assumption that, okay, if I show my emotions, if I share my feelings, I will be rejected. Even slightly deeper too is the relationship that men have with their moms. Huge, right? I mean, it goes the same way with like women and the relationship that they have with their dad. But like that first relationship is the first love. So just my experience is again, love my mom, right? But at one point she wasn't able to cater to my emotional needs. And I was the one who was catering for her emotional needs. So I became this person where I was like, okay, I'm not supposed to be the one sharing my feelings and emotions. And if I do, the only one that I do show is anger because that's the only one that's accepted in society. Right. So now we're getting at the societal level. So then now from here, as we just keep moving through life, like this lens now is what we attract in. So even the partners that we attract, the moment we share ourselves, our emotions and stuff, and then we get punished for it, like, oh, you're not a man. And then that just now becomes even more of a steadfast belief. And unfortunately, the next thing that becomes is the mind that we have. Yes, men are like the power that men have from more than men, the power that masculinity has is the mind. Yes. But if the wiring is wrong, then everything everything is not going to go well. It's going to actually work against you. And then you're going to end up hurting the people around you. Right? So because of that, we're never really taught that our emotions matter, right? And that's something for the feminine. And that's why, yeah, I said like men don't want to get into the healing journey because of that.
It's a societal standard, and that's why I even asked you. I'm like, why do you think? It's because the thing is like we all know it. Everybody in this world, that's like the most basic societal standard, like norm that there is. And I do believe that men and women are different for a reason. I don't think we are meant to be the same as much as like women are like, I can do everything men can do. Men, no, I don't think that. But the thing is we have misconceptions of what masculine and feminine is. Some of the most masculine men that I know are also in tune with their emotions. And how brave is that of you to say, hey, I'm not feeling good right now. That doesn't mean you're weak. We've just kind of like twisted different meanings to things, even though that's not what they mean, if that makes any sense. Like some of the most successful men that I know are in touch with their emotions, because you can't grow a thriving business if you act chaotically and you don't speak your mind and you're not open to being like open and receptive to other people. And the masculine, though, in standard society is closed off, always right, independent. And it's like, that's not the case. We've mixed we have a wrong misconception of what actual masculine energy and feminine energy is.
We
I know
do.
so many women who are like tough and within themselves, but they also have like the lightest touch when you're around them. They make you feel open. We can have both qualities. It doesn't mean you're one or the other, but that's the thing as society, just set those norms.
I see. Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. Yeah, like
But that's also why I'm here though, is to tell you that like were taught and passed down from us from like honestly toxic ages where it might have served them then. It probably never did, but like those are just things that were passed on. And let's just reframe your values and your programming. It's like, don't you think it's a very brave thing to do to share your emotions and be vulnerable? Most people would say, yeah, that's extremely brave. And I'm like, okay, so by not doing that, you're actually not being a man, are you? Man. Like, it's weird because when you just literally say something differently, everyone's like, "Oh, yeah, that's right." It's I don't know if that makes any sense. But that's just what I realized. I realized I'm like, we completely just have a misconception of what masculine and feminine energy is from the get-go.
where do you think that stemmed from?
Which I could tell you have to like look back into history. It might have been a survival mechanism because like women actually like science-based are weaker than men. And we just went too far left and too far right with it. And once again, now we don't live in caveman days where it's like we only value like protection and hunting and gathering. Like back then, I guess maybe we didn't have to think about our emotions too much because everybody was in survival mode. But it's funny though, because like we're all like, this is how things are. If you haven't look around us, everything is evolving at every freaking second. Why do we have to stay the same if they're no longer serving us? And I feel like people are just so stuck in tradition because it's a safety thing, it's a comfort thing. Because God forbid you change, your body just isn't programmed that way. But I'm like, let's evolve and teach our bodies it's okay to be safe and not your standard.
Yeah, yeah, I totally see that, right? Like there was a need at one point. I will also say this too, because the our technology is evolving at such a fast pace that our biology isn't able to keep up with it.
No, completely. And that's the thing though. It's like, once again, we were told back then that our instincts are power and our instincts are powerful, but like we can program our bodies to feel safe in uncomfortable situations. It's just we are not taught that anymore. I don't know. It's just our nervous system serves a purpose, but we got too I don't know, maybe it's the luxurious lifestyle we also live nowadays too, but we just got too used to being comfortable and we're told that everything uncomfortable isn't worth doing, but that's where all the magic happens.
Yeah. Yeah, and for a while in my life too, I had to differentiate between unsafe and being uncomfortable. And that's when I talk to like women too. It's I have to be very careful here. Like for a man, like I totally I'll say this, even to anyone that's watching. I will never know what it's like to experience life as a woman, right? All I can do is learn and understand from the women in my life and gauge based on that. So I understand safety is absolutely paramount, right? And then so for a while I have to be very careful. It's like, hey, yes, you got to ensure you're safe, right? Because if you're not safe, then okay, you got to go to safety. But number two is you got to be able to distinguish between safety and being uncomfortable because right now they're conflated in life, right?
Just like you have to differentiate being, and this is what I hear so many times too, is like in the spiritual, I love being spiritual. I'm so into it. But like in the spiritual world too, we're like, be kind to yourself, be nice to yourself. And I am all for like, if you need a break, realize when you need a break. Don't push yourself beyond the limits because that's not sustainable. But also realize when you're giving yourself grace and enabling, because a lot of people would just enable themselves then and mask it as giving myself grace. It's life is such a balancing act. It can come in from 500 different reasons, but you know what you're doing to yourself. And once again, that's why I think you knowing yourself and being authentically who you are and having those tough conversations are so valuable. Because to somebody else, it might look like you're just giving yourself some grace, but you're like, no, I'm actually okay. I could probably get up and do this thing. Or like vice versa. It's just knowing yourself is probably the most powerful tool that you can have because you're right. It's just life's a constant dance of trying to figure it out. And as you said in the beginning, it's been kind of crazy. The only thing that is consistent in life is nothing is consistent. There are constantly going to be things thrown at you. It's just the more you listen to yourself and the more you do things, the easier it gets for you to navigate it. There's always going to be something. And if you're looking for a quick fix or a constant everything's okay, good luck, because that's the only thing that is a fairy tale. It's nature, it's universal law. Things are constantly changing, which means you should be too.
Yeah. The moment you stop changing, you start dying. You know that.
I mean, kind of. That's
Yeah.
why it's just like the biggest. Everyone talks about epidemics and pandemics going on in this world, and we talk about COVID, but why aren't we talking about the epidemic of people who are living but not actually alive?
Yeah. There's not, yeah, I mean, hasn't been a lot of that as of late. And that's what we're here to change.
Completely, I agree with you.
And that's a really good segue into spirituality then.
Can I ask you a question? What is spirituality to you? Because
You
that's a loaded
first.
question, right?
I
Everybody out
know,
here,
you
though, is like,
first.
what is spirituality?
You first. When I come on your pad, I can answer that first.
What is spirituality to me? A lot of people are going to relate it to a religion, right? And I've studied a lot of different religions. When it comes down to a religion, it's all of the basis of it's all the same basis is believing in something, believing in the good, believing that miracles are possible. Spirituality to me is just believing in yourself. That's all spirituality is believing that like I am this God, I am this type of religion, like everything is within me, everything around me is magic. Because when you actually look at things, it kind of is. I don't know, spirituality to me is literally just like having a deeper connection and that feeling that you get when you are a part of a religion, except I don't need some external forces or some external person to tell me that I am powerful and that I am whole and that I have everything within me. Spirituality is just me knowing me and me being content in being me because when you sit with yourself and you have that feeling,
Yeah. Oh, blasphemous. I am God.
and like I don't want to put any like anything like any religion down by all means, but that's what spirituality is to me is like if I'm going to believe in anything, I might as well believe in myself.
How is that different from narcissism?
Cuz it's like I get that, but the thing is like when I believe in me and when you are okay with it's like the thing like everything is your projection, your reality is a projection of everything you believe, right? So, like, I might think I'm a god, but I think you're a god too. I think everybody around us is. I see the beauty and the blessings that are around us constantly. I think everybody is powerful. I believe everybody has the power to change the world and their life for the better. I just wish they believed it too.
That is that, yeah. I mean, that's amazing. So how did you come into that understanding of I am?
I wish I knew how I came into it. Honestly, don't know. It's just meditation helps a lot, to be honest with you, because it's like when you realize that it doesn't take much for you to feel, and it's a feeling I can't even really describe. It's like feeling whole and like everything around you is magic all at once, but it's all not that special because you know it's all here for a reason. It's weird. It's just like a calm that rushes over you, and you're like, yeah, this is why we're here. Do you know that fad that's going around where everyone's like, I forgot this is what it's all about? Like those moments where it's like you're hanging out with your friends, and I'm like, if you actually see the value in every single moment and how cool it is that we're all actually little like here doing things, like I don't know. It's just a feeling that you get. And meditation's helped me a lot with it. And just watching people change like this too. When you're observant and you actually like are present in the moment, you see it. It's about being present and not letting your mind control your entire life or thinking about the future or the past and being here. When you see everything that's actually going on around you, you're like, this is actually kind of trippy and kind of crazy and kind of amazing. I don't know, like, you're right though, people even ask me I've done Vipassana, it's a 10-day silent meditation retreat,
You did
and
that?
yeah.
Me too.
Did you? Isn't it great? So
Amazing.
my co-host on my podcast asked me though, I'm like, "It makes you not wanna react to things anymore." And he's just like, "How does that just not make you numb?" And I'm like, "You would think it would." That, like, you can, like I mean, I've been an ICU nurse, I've seen death, and, like, to me, death doesn't have the same heavy load to it because I see it as a rebirth, something else. He's like, "How does that just not make you numb?" I'm like, "It's hard to explain. It makes you have more compassion and more hope and more joy for those little moments because you know they're gonna go away. It makes me, like, happy to be who I am because I see everybody, the potential in everybody else too." It's weird, you can't really describe it. It's just something you have to, like, feel and know, and when you finally actually experience it, you get it. It's like if you know, you know, but if you don't, you don't. I don't really know how to do it, like, explain that.
That's well explained. Talking about something like I love the space in life that we're in now, where we can talk about this without being burnt at the stake. Right? Without, I mean, like, yes, there's still a lot of friction. I'll admit this. I feel some level of fear sometimes when I talk about like I am, right? Like God is me, and I am God, and so is everyone else, right? That was an amazing thing that you distinguished it, because it can very easily, especially for a man, right? Most men are already in their mind, and then for them to go like, okay, I am God, like, whoa, like, right?
But it's
So,
coming from a soul level, it's coming from a connection level, it's not coming from an ego level.
right. I will say this though, like, because it's a new identification, it's like for me, like, because again, authenticity is this like your true self, right? So when mind and body are both aligned to I am, so it does mean even like mentally, right? Like I know I am, right? But that doesn't mean that the person I'm talking to isn't either, right? So yeah, I mean like the biggest thing that
I think
me
that's yeah,
talking
sorry,
about this,
continue. What would
yeah,
you say?
like me talking about this is that there's that fear, right? Because if I keep saying like, oh, if I keep telling people like, hey, yeah, I am God. It's like, wow, like so there's been that slight fear, but more and more I have conversations like this that it reminds me like, oh wow, okay. There's more and more people that are awakening to the truth of themselves. And that's such a beautiful thing. And you summed it up perfectly because it is a knowing. It's an embodiment. And there's no like our bodies are the temple. Our bodies are the temple that hold like the frequency of consciousness that there is. And in order to get to a place where we feel that I am and know that I am, we got to go on that journey, right? We got to go on the journey of figuring that out. Like for me, when I did the Vipassana, that was maybe my third awakening, or like my third spiritual awakening. And I totally feel you like your co-host on the numb piece. Because I remember when I first started that journey, within like day three, I was like,
Oh
yo,
my god.
I'm done. Like I'm ready.
And
Yeah.
not to be this person, it was like day 4, and once again, I don't wanna take like you said, I don't wanna take away from anybody at all, but, like, there was a point where I was like, "I would thrive in prison, this is okay." And then by, like, day 5, I'm like, "What?"
Yeah. Yeah, right. And because I hear you, like like I was ready to leave.
Yeah.
But then something interesting happened too. By like day 8 or 9, I was like, oh, I don't want to leave. I don't want to leave. And that was really interesting. And so that sprung along the spiritual journey properly. But I was like, okay, there's something that I got to figure out. And that's why I also left my mind at that time. I was like, I didn't trust my mind anymore. Like I was like, it brought me too much like pain, right? So I just left it aside. And I went on this journey, and then I met Teal Swan. She introduced me, and that was my spiritual bypassing because I wasn't listening to my body. I did the healing work, but I wasn't listening, right? I was like, oh, emotion, that's okay. Anytime I would feel the emotions, I would go and start doing Vipassana meditation.
Yeah, see, that's where it's like
Yeah, yeah. And then Teal's event, she was like, whoa. I remember like even when she started the event, it was like, oh my God, there's so much resistance to emotions. We're gonna do something slightly different. And that was when I realized like, wow, okay, I have to be also in my fields. And then it was like actually last month that I was just sitting, I was listening to a talk from Nietzsche, and it was like the concept was like God is dead, right? And I was like, no, 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 I don't want to, no, no. But I felt this resistance, and I was like, I gotta lean into it. I gotta accept and lean into this resistance. And then so I was like, okay, I'm not going to do God is dead. Like God, like has been wonderful to me the past 5 years. I couldn't have done it without God. So I'm not going to say God is dead. That's too much. So I was like, okay, I'm leaving God, right? Like just like how we leave home at 18, right? So I was like, I'm leaving. right? And I'm leaving because maybe I do believe like God wants this for me. And then so I did a ritual, I did a ceremony around that. And then that same day in the afternoon, I go for a walk, come back, I'm sitting down, and I'm like, okay, I don't know what's next, you know? And then it just boom, like a download, it just hit me. It's you. And I was like, whoa. And I was not ready for that truth, girl. I was like, whoa, that's too much.
But isn't it such a cool truth though at the same time?
It is, but it is, and I will say it is. I will say this though, if I had learned this when I first started my journey in 2020, I don't know I could have handled.
Yeah. And everything does
Yeah,
come to you at the exact time, but like what you resist persists. You're always going to stay in the same area. And then finally you were like, I'm done resisting. This kind of feels like I need to let it go. And you do need to let go of old stuff to like make room for the new stuff. If you never let go of that old idea, like you would have never had this new breakthrough then. And that's the thing,
that's
as
true.
long as you believe like things will come to you in divine timing and when you are open and receptive, the right things will come to you. Like I don't know. Just look at everything in life. If you the things you've resisted are usually the things that cause you the most suffering, and everything does kind of happen at the perfect moment if you look back on things and moments you didn't resist and you were just trying to like understand in the moment.
What's that? Like an affirmation, right? Like, hey, everything is happening. Like everything that's happening to me is happening at the right time, the most perfect time there is, right? So absolutely. I will say this though, for a week, girl, I was like, I don't know what to do with this. So I feel
You
I
don't
feel
need
your
to know
co-host.
either. That's the thing is you
Yeah.
don't need to know. It'll show you eventually. It will.
I was like straight up hiding too. I was like, okay, I'm not ready for this.
So you were hiding from it.
I did for a week. I hid from it because I was like, I don't know what to do with this, right? So that numbness, because it felt like this journey of life that I've been on is complete. And I don't know what, and I'm 32 years old, and I was like, I don't know what to do with my, like, you know, it's like the at the end of the video game when you complete it, you're like, okay, that's it, and there's no, like, there's no more knowing. I think that yeah, that's the thing. There's no more knowing other than I am. And I was like, okay, I don't know what to do with this. And then for a week, I was like, I was, I was grateful, but I was also, I was numb. I was like, okay, I don't know what to do. But then immediately the next week, I was like, wow, okay, I'm here.
So when did you have that breakthrough then at one point? You were like hiding from it and then like when did the breakthrough happen?
So I wasn't hiding from it. So I hid after the,
Yeah.
and then, okay, so
And
that
then when
happened
did
like
the
after a
break let
week.
me ask you then, like, when did what happened when you stopped hiding from it?
Oh, I accepted and I was like, okay, I'm here. I am living with limitations in this experience of life, and I'm here to experience this.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, okay.
And I don't know if you can relate to you, but that's where things get really scary too, is because there does usually come a point in your life when you realize what isn't serving you and you let it all go and you're like, shit, I literally just had to kill my old self. And it might seem like you're losing a lot because a lot of people then lose friends and family who might not agree with them. But it's like, correct me if I'm wrong, have you found a new community now based around the things that you currently are?
Yeah.
Your new self.
And constantly finding too. Like the rate of change of some people in my life is fast. It's fast. But I am very graceful as well. And the reason that is because I don't want to, like, let's say like family members, for example, right? I've realized it is a two-way street where it's like, yes, I'm growing and I want the other person to grow too, but if they're not growing, I don't want to say fast enough. If they're just not taking their own steps, it creates so much discomfort for both of us, right? So that's why I'm like, hey, for the people that are comfortable with where they're at, I'm like, hey, I applaud you. I show compassion and I'm here, right? I'm always here. And then when I let go, I find that it's exactly like kind of what you said, you know, when I create more space in my life, then I have more and more aligned opportunities and people that come my way and I receive that.
And it doesn't mean that you love or unvalue those people anymore either. It just means we're on different paths. I can love you from afar and wish nothing but the best for you, but it's just I love myself even more to say, "Hey, I need to go on this other side of my life." I feel like that's
Yeah.
the thing is like we're constantly taught that it's like you prioritizing you takes away from somebody else, but it doesn't at all. Like you can have both your old life and your new life and appreciate both of them for what they are. It doesn't mean that you're hating on one or the other. It just means that you're moving.
And so in that realm, like what advice do you have for people that may be agnostic, they may be coming from like a religious background? What advice do you have for them to stepping into their like spiritual era?
And that's the thing, spirituality might not be for everybody. It might not. And you could believe in a religion and also be spiritual. It's finding a mix that works for you and screw what everybody else says. The one thing that resonates really, really well with me in Vipassana was like people will sit on the ground all day and pray to a god and say his name and hope that he answers. But what god do you actually know that has such a big ego he wants you to praise him all the time without giving you some blessings? What god is there that thinks that you need to be solely about him in order to have a thriving life? God wants what's best for you, right? So it's like my best advice would be like do what is best for you. Stop letting rules and regulations hold you down. Do what you believe in. If that's transitioning, that's okay too. I would just say knowing that, like, whatever you choose is okay. Stop living somebody else's path, though, and start living your own. Because God did you anything, God, you yourself, you're here for a reason to be exactly who you are for that reason. And you're actually doing the world a disservice when you are not being true.
Amen. You're not, you're, what is it? You're being, it's a disservice that you're not
You
being
are
true to
doing
who
the
you
world
are.
a disservice by not being who you are because you believe that you're created by a God. Okay. God put you to be here uniquely you for a reason. You were here to do something. And if you're not walking the path that He actually has for you, come on.
You heard it here. Walk the path. Walk the
But no, that's it.
path. Beautiful. So as we wrap up here, Christina, thank you so much. I want to give you a moment to like share like where people can find you.
Yeah, of course. So my name is Christina Pehr. You can Google me and everything will probably pop up. My last name is Pehr. I have New Ways podcast, New Ways with a Z, so NEWAZ podcast. I also am on TikTok as Christina.ispresent, or you can look up at self coaching and I'm there as well. But honestly, you can just Google my name and I'll probably pop up. So, but I just want to say I appreciate you so much, Tony, for this platform.
It's well received, and absolutely, yeah, we'll put all the links here in the video description as well. And thank you so much to Christina. This has been a wonderful conversation. I knew, because you talk about authenticity as well, that this would be a profound and also lighthearted conversation, right? Because in this world of kind of going out there, it is scary, and either ways, we're not gonna get out of it alive. So the best way to do it is through humor. And I applaud everything that, and I applaud, and I also like want to take a moment and thank you for the like your vulnerability that you shared today as well. And that one of the last things I want to say is you absolutely can go for the thing, not because it's unrealistic, because you are meant to win it. And thank you everyone for watching as well. Like and subscribe for more. And with that, we'll see you on the next one.
Bye, guys.